The most complicated step in the Tribal Data Toolbox is the field mapping step. And if you're familiar with Microsoft Access or other database programs, it's the query design window. And it looks scary, but the thing to remember is that you only have to do it once per incoming data stream unless you reconfigure your data logger. So the idea is that the data is in your table data import just as you made it ready to import into the toolbox and got it off of your analyzer. The verification table already has over 50 columns, and these columns are ready to accept your data. You just need to tell the toolbox which column date goes into, or if your data has date time in the same column, which column that goes into. The toolbox will also guess. So if you have a column labeled date, the toolbox is smart enough to know that goes in the date column. You just need to do this step once, and then the toolbox will remember for each incoming data stream. Remember, you cannot break the toolbox. If this gets messed up, we will help you fix it. That's another reason why when you open up the main switchboard, it's always a good idea to make a backup copy of the toolbox, which you can do every 10 minutes if you want to. So you can see the query design window here, and at the top is a list of all the headers that's in your table data import. And what you want to do is bring each column that you want to import down into the query design window and then decide what headers it should have in there. In this case, as in a lot of cases, you want to select all the columns that are in your table data import and bring them down. So to do that, you hold down the first one and hold down your Shift key and then click again at the end of the bunch that you want to pull down into the window. Especially for large files like metadata with many columns, you may have to use the scroll bar that'll appear at the right of that table in the upper window if you've got more columns than show right there. So once you've got them all selected, you can just drag them down, or if you select individual ones, you just drag them down and then they automatically populate that query design grid at the bottom, and then you select, if the toolbox guesses incorrectly or can't guess, which columns that they go into. So the way that the query design window works is if you click in the Append To Row, you select the headers in the verification table. So first of all, time. Let's take a look at our original file, and you can see that time is presented as a date and a time, but it is in one column, date, time. So we need to make sure that the toolbox knows that our date and time is in one column. So now what I'm going to do is look for a date time column in the toolbox to map this first column into. You can see those are all the different columns that are in the big blank verification table now, and there's a date time. So we want to make sure that that one is selected. The toolbox will remember this. So select date time, and then the next column is pretty easy, wind speed in miles per hour. So we need to just tell the toolbox that the next column is the wind speed column. So you click in the Append To Row, and the drop down box gives you all the different possible fields you could map this into. And then the next one is precipitation, so we know that that goes into the precipitation column. And you may have to scroll down because there are so many. And then relative humidity, we just find that one, okay. And then temperature, ambient temperature, because you could also have a temperature in your shelter. And then we don't have anything for battery voltage, so it turns out we're going to not import that. That's something that we are going to rely on our logbook to note if there's anything weird about battery voltage. So if you leave that Append To Row blank, the toolbox won't import it. And once we've finished assigning all the columns that we need to for this particular data stream import, we want to make sure that we save the query design mapping so that the toolbox remembers it. So you just click on that icon in the upper left, and then you can close the window by clicking the lower X in the upper right. Ta-da!